the residents and villagers of Sauveur and Sauveur, I bid you a good evening. I want to first of all thank you for inviting me to address the 15th inaugural meeting of the Sauveur Sauveur Village Council. It is always a pleasure for me to be here in this part of the country and to be part with to be in presence of a very warm and hospitable people. I sat here and I listened to the presentation by your Member of Parliament, and I said, well, after he spoke, there's nothing anybody should say after that, because there's no doubt he gave you a very good account of his stewardship over the last 4.5 years as a Member of Parliament in this constituency. He spoke about the fact that his tenure as Member of Parliament, during his tenure, he had to spend enormous amounts of resources and energy and time responding to natural disasters. Over $4 million have been spent in this part of the country responding to disasters. Monies which could have been spent on building new roads, building more homes, had to go into responding to natural disasters. Because the fact remains, we could not have left this unattended because of the added danger which it would place at the feet of our residents. But more than the monies that have been spent here in this part of the country, at every single turn, the Member of Parliament was present, and not only watching, but involved in the actual work in responding to the disasters here in this part of the country. And many times, I would call him and say to him, Gregoire, you need to go home and rest. Turn your telephone off for the night and get some rest. Lo and behold, only to call him at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was on the site working in responding to ensure that the place became normal after the storm. So I really want to publicly commend and congratulate Honourable Gregoire. And as Prime Minister, as Prime Minister of this country, I have the absolute confidence in Johnson Gregoire as a Member of Parliament and his efforts here in this constituency. And I have no doubt, at the appropriate time, you here in this constituency will endorse his continued leadership in this constituency. I sat there with a little bit, I am the Minister of Finance, but I sat there with a little bit of jealousy in me, in seeing so many contracts signed. And I'm saying, but Skerrit, but you should have a couple like that, like those in Vegas and so on. But you deserve every single dollar which you shall receive from this government as a result of the 2014-2015 budget. And this is just a part of it. Because every one of you who is 70 years old, 70 years and older, will very shortly be receiving a $200 grant every month from the Government of Dominica. Because the government felt that you have worked hard enough for this country. Whether you were a fisherman, whether it's bailiff you were making oil, bay oil, whether it's cassava, whether it's toloma, whether you were working for the government back then and you're not getting a pension, come the month of September, you will be getting a pension of $200 from the government. Irrespective of whether you're laborite or you're UWPite, every one of you will receive this grant from the government. And I find it extraordinary. I mean, we can talk politics when we want, but we must speak the truth at all times. And for anybody to come here to say that this part of Dominica has received nothing from the government, nothing from the Labour Party, you're not telling a truth to the people of this part of the country. I will be the first to admit that there is still more to be done. But we cannot dispute the fact that quite an amount of work has been done in this part of the country. And I can tell you, as you know, that school should have been constructed in my constituency. And I decided, based on the recognition that you had a greater need than I did in my constituency, I took the deliberate decision as a Prime Minister to give you the school instead. A commitment and a promise which we made, and a commitment and a promise which we kept to you here in this part of the country. And there are elements, opposition elements, who have said that this school was too big for you, that school should be in Roseau or somewhere, and not here in Petit Sauveur, Sauveur. But you, the people of this part of the country, I will say to you again, you deserve everything you're getting, and the more you can get is the more you should take. I also want to recognize the excellent speech given to us here this evening by the outgoing chairperson and also the incoming chairperson. And I can say to you that you have in the chairperson, based on what I have seen so far, an extraordinary leader. And my hope and prayer is that you, the community people, should join forces with him and his council and help push this part of the country further. We have to help him, a young man, we have to help him to move the community forward. Oftentimes we criticize young people and we say they're not doing this, they're not doing that, it's negative and so forth. So when they're doing something positive, we must speak about it, we must promote it, and thereby encouraging others to join forces. When I walked in this afternoon, I stumbled upon this young man. Please, can you stand, sir, and let people see you again? He's only 18 years old. He went and he had himself nominated to contest the elections there. But he did not make it through, and I am disappointed he didn't make it through. But the authorities that be recognize his potential, and notwithstanding the fact that he didn't make it through as an elected member, they felt obligated to put him on as a nominated member. And I have no doubt he will make a positive contribution to this part of the country. Yes. I want to say to you here, the contract which was signed is a very large sum, which will impact the lives of the community. But very importantly too is that every one of the contractors, every one of them is from this part. And I'm hoping that they can employ as many people as possible from this part of the country, so that the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of contracts that have been signed here this evening, every single dollar will stay in this community, in these communities, and help the economy of these communities. I want to, at this point, thank the Minister for Housing and his permanent secretary, who give it all their efforts to ensure we could have had the signing ceremony here this evening. Because I know the families have been waiting for this project to commence. As you know, we had to purchase the land. We had to acquire the land in the first instance. And we had to now cut the roads there. And now we have to now surface the road, do the crossing, and the contract has been signed. So a number of things can happen at the same time. I know there are certain sections of the main road that need repairing. That is on the cards for maintenance from the Ministry of Public Works, and that will commence shortly. And I know the issue of the Petit Sauveur Road, and people will come in and criticize and so forth. But it is the first party, or the only party, that has made any tangible effort in commencing the Petit Sauveur Rosalie Road. Only. People have come here and talked about it, especially on the eve of elections, and did nothing about it. But we have started the road, and I can tell you that every single cent to complete that road is in Dominica and available to commence the project as soon as possible. Waiting for the contractors to return from Venezuela. And I have said to the Minister for Public Works and the Minister for Petro-Caribbean that we should use local contractors to do the drains and to do various concrete works so that we can have the people here in Peninsula, for instance, over doing a larger sections of the roads and so forth. So there are people coming who come to criticize, but they're offering nothing to you. Nothing whatsoever. So those who cannot give you biscuit must not take a bread from your mouth. And that's something we have to guard against here in this country and this community. And I want to say to you, Council, that while we speak about roads and bridges and so forth, I want you to place the issues of older persons and young people at the center of your activities. We have to ensure that we build a more caring society, that we have to look after the less fortunate in our communities, that we need to know of every child who needs help and what type of help the child needs, so that we can have the interventions to prevent the child from dropping out of school and getting involved in drugs and illegal activities. We have to safeguard the future of the country and also take care of those who have built the foundation upon which we stand and upon which we're building today. So the youth and the elderly, the children, must pay particular attention. And I agree with Honourable Drago when he pointed out to you that you as parents have an important role to play in nurturing your children and ensuring that they take advantage of the opportunity for an education. Because we are providing free transportation to your children. Gone are the days when the children could have that difficulty in getting back from Sauveur Secondary School. We are providing textbooks. We're providing uniforms. And we're providing, in many instances, a meal at the school, and that will be augmented in September. So all that is left for the child to do is to study and learn and make himself proud, make his parents proud, and make all of us proud. So I am urging the parents and the young people who are here to take advantage of the opportunities which this government has created for you in Dominica and for you in this part of the country. But all of these things have been done in the country, in these communities, despite the global crisis. You hear in many parts of the world and the Caribbean, people are talking about sending people home, retrenchment, layoffs. In many parts of the Caribbean, hundreds and thousands of people are being sent home. But here in Dominica, notwithstanding the global crisis, we have not sent one person home, and we have no intention of sending any person home in the near or distant future. Because we have been managing the affairs of this country in a prudent and responsible manner. Far from sending people home, we have been employing people. And under the NEP, we have employed in excess of 855 young people who are all paid at the end of each month, carrying out various functions across the country. 855. And I understand in the next couple of weeks in Sauveur, we'll be signing contracts for about 40 or 45 young people from this constituency. From this constituency, who will be engaged under the NEP. So my challenge to you, the young people who are not engaged, whether you're in agriculture, whether you're self-employed, whatever it is, you need to take advantage of the National Employment Program. So these are practical and tangible things which you're doing for the people of Dominica. And we must take advantage of it as our citizens. I want to again thank you for having me here. I want to give you the assurances, Mr. Chairman, especially you being a young chairman, that you have the absolute support of the government and of myself personally as the leader of the country. And whatever programs which you have and which you will develop along with the Parliament, I would like to get a copy of those so that the appropriate financing, the appropriate funds can be available to you. So when you report here 3 years later, and when I'll be sitting here again as the Prime Minister and Johnson Drago as a Member of Parliament, to receive your report, that you will speak of several important achievements. I want you to be successful, and you have the backing of the Minister of Finance in that regard. So plan properly, plan wisely, decide what the priorities are, and let us put a proper plan together to advance these communities. We just signed the contract for the Live Louis Road in walls already, the retaining wall. There were 4 walls to have been constructed in Petit Sauveur. We did 3 of them so far. And we had the final one, the Live Louis retaining wall to do, and we should sign a contract. I want to hand over the check of over $60,000 to the chairman of the village council, because the council will be charged with the responsibility of implementing that project on behalf of the government. Because I can tell you, I have great confidence in councils. You know, and many councils, when you give them money, they can stretch the dollar and achieve the objective in a very responsible manner. And the track record of the Petit Sauveur Sauveur Village Council is impeccable in that regard. And we have no hesitation in putting money into your hands, whether it's for housing, whether it's for road repairs, whether it's for agriculture, whether it's for fisheries. We are prepared to put the money into your hand to help build this community. I want to hand over this check to you. I wish you God's blessings and guidance. And let us be mindful of the fact that we're in the hurricane season. And we here in Petit Sauveur and Sauveur are very vulnerable. And so we must take action. If there are trees which need to be cut, we have to trim them and cut them down. If there are drains that are blocked, do not wait for Skerrit to come out of your vehicles to unblock your drain. Unblock your drain. Because if you do not unblock your drain, it will cause destruction to you, the residents. So let us take our safety in our hands. And whatever we can do for you by the government, we are prepared to do that. And Gregoire said, there's some who said nothing in the budget for you here in Petit Sauveur. Ask them, what about all the contracts which were signed here in Petit Sauveur and Sauveur today to do several works here in this community? 10 homes, roads, retaining walls, walkways, and so forth. And I can tell you, very soon, the village council will get another youth check for housing, especially the eradication of pit latrines in this part of the country. And we'll be getting on you to assist us in eradicating it. So you will see more things unfolding out of the budget. And every single project we speak about, we can tell you where the funding is. So we signed Live Louis. Here is the check, and that check can be deposited anywhere in Dominica. And I give you the assurances that it shall not bounce at all. Thank you very much. God bless you.